Take two. I discovered that you can hit spacebar and stop the recording. Cool. Welcome to Dragon Ball Transformations. Before I start, it's July 1st when I'm recording this, so 4th of July fireworks are getting going. You'll hear bangs. To understand Dragon Ball Transformation, I'm going over most transformations that I can think of. This can be by technique or by just normal transformations like a Frieza going to a second, third, and all that. I'll explain it more in depth to the best of my ability and my knowledge. I will not touch on the androids like Super Android 13 and 17 and 18 or any of the other things. And I'll try to avoid Super Dragon Ball Heroes because I missed and don't get to see some of the episodes because they don't tell me when they come out like they're supposed to. Anyways, so let's start with Namekians because they're the first thing on my list. Namekians are an asexual reproductive species that has clans that do certain tasks and have certain abilities. We have the farmers, we have the Dragon Clan which can create Dragon Balls, and then we have the Warrior Clan which is like the protectors. They're pretty strong. I'd say they're at least within Frieza Force ranks, but they won't fight a Zarbon or Dodoria. The very first thing we get to learn of is the the very first thing we learn of is Giant Form. Giant Form Piccolo Jr. is shown off in the Dragon Ball Tournament Saga. At the very end is the final fight against young Goku and Piccolo Jr., and Giant Form Piccolo comes out to kind of slam down on Goku. We revisit this transformation twice. Once in Lord Slug, where false Super Saiyan Goku has to defeat him, and then we revisit it in the newest movie, Dragon Ball Super Superhero, where Orange Piccolo becomes the Giant Form, and he explains that it's basically an expansion of energy to make yourself look big, to scare the enemy, and to kind of match it in size, but it does not change strength or power, but it does slow you the hell down. So it's more of a scare tactic more than a fighting tactic. And then next we have Assimilation. We see this early as the Namek Saga, where Nail is beaten pretty badly, and he asks Piccolo to use a forbidden technique, which is the Assimilation technique, which is their version of fusion or merging, and takes one consciousness, power, and strength of one Namekian and transfers it to the next. So Piccolo obtains his memories, his knowledge, his power, and his abilities. We don't get to see too much of Nail. I think when Grand Elder Guru passes, that's the very last Nail inside Piccolo we know of. Unlike Dragon Ball 4-star projects, they explained it as their other consciousnesses in his head. But basically, that is exactly how it is because they're two consciousness converging. They're not just two separate consciousnesses. There's now one. But Piccolo is the primary one that directs them what they're gonna do. But Nail can kind of be he can kind of his personality shines a little out. The next time we see it is in the Android Saga with when the androids are able to overpower the Z Fighters. Piccolo goes to meet up with Kami, says, "Hey, I need your power and ours to become the Super Namekian," which we reveal in Dragon Ball, the very last part of Dragon Ball, where Demon King Piccolo and Kami were two of the same Namekian, but long ago, before even the series started, the evil and good side of the unnamed Namekian warrior diverged, making Kami and Demon King Piccolo. So that's why Piccolo and Kami, their lives are attached, and will die at the same time. So when Kami rejoins with Piccolo, they remake a newer warrior because it's no longer the same Piccolo. It's not Demon King Piccolo that's fusing with Kami. It's Piccolo Jr., and I'm trying to explain this pretty good. They remake a Super Namekian that has no name because it's been forgotten to time, and to simplify their existence, they just go as Piccolo because that's the appearance and that's the primary personality that shines out. That's the memories in what they know of, because the relationship with Gohan and Goku. The next one is, of course, the most. We don't touch Power Awakening or Orange Piccolo as much as the rest of them, but basically it just sounds like Shenron unlocked the potential of Piccolo, which is Power Awakening, which is basically he pulled the Grand Elder Guru to Piccolo, withdrawing Piccolo's energy, and then Orange Piccolo is kind of the Super Saiyan of Piccolo. It's kind of just his energy consumes him and kind of bolts him up a little bit. And that kind of looks like it's more of a booster than just he transformed his body. Next person, well, actually, now that I mention it, it's a good thing to go past this. In the Dragon Ball Super manga, in the Moro arc, so it's been an arc away, but we reveal that Vegeta went to go to the Metamorians, I believe they are. The Yodrats. The Yodrats have special techniques that do with energy transferring, energy controlling. Basically, they have a lot better control over their ki, and they're the ones who taught Goku how to do instant transmission. And Vegeta goes there to learn more techniques, and he learns a few of them. I believe there's 3 he uses. I forgot one of them. I think it's like an energy drain. The second one is energy fishing, which he can convert ki into any body, into any form he wants. So he takes Moro's energy, who's good about absorbing others' energy. He takes that energy and passes it on to Goku and himself. And then he also does what I believe a lot of people are calling the Spirit Avatar form, which basically MUI Goku comes out to knock out Moro, but he basically pulls a Cell and says, "I'll blow up this world if I can't win," and Vegeta is able to transfer a bunch of energy into an actual giant form for Goku, which is just made out of ki, to be able to fight him at that taller state. Moving on to the fusions are pretty easy. So we have I think it's the Metamorphosis dance, the Metamorians fusion dance, which is basically when Goku was in the other world between the Android Saga and Boo Saga, he met Metamorians, which taught them, I believe there's a few terms in translation where one time lovers would join bodies as a symbol of love. There's another one where to get over an obstacle they would fuse together, and it's basically add 2 equal powers together, and it basically doubles the power and adds a little boost. And that's the fusion. And you have to get your fingertips to match. They can't go off, and you can't use a fist. I think if it's a fist, it gets you fail A, which is the fat form. Crossing fingers is the fail B form, which is the older men form. And then that's how we get Gogeta. And then the perfect way is Gogeta and Gotenks. And the most famous way for the fail A is Veku. We also see fail A, Gotenks, and fail A, Gogeta, and then fail B. Fail B is fail B, Gotenks, and Gogeta. That's really all we see. There's of course a Metamorian's bracelet that's made in Dragon Ball Fusions, I believe. And all it is instead of using the dance, you can just clip on I think it's a quad band, and it just fuses that person together. We also have the Potara earrings, which are a godly item, which basically the Kais hold mostly, and basically it'll fuse two people together. While the Metamorian's fusion dance lasts for 30 minutes, the Potara lasts for an hour, and instead of fusing two equal powers together, they can fuse the powers together. So if Goku's a little bit stronger than Vegeta, that power gap has to be lowered to make the fusion work in Fusion Dance, but in Potara, it just fuses the two together at that point. And it has a lot larger, because it's a godly item, it has a larger boost. It not just doubles it because there's a little bit of a power creep on that other person, so it's a better put together power, and it has a larger boost because it's godly. Next would be Power Unleash. I kind of talked about this with the Orange Piccolo and Power Awakening Piccolo, but Power Unleash, we see, I think, twice in the series so far. We see Grand Elder Guru unleash Krillin and Kid Gohan's power in the Namek arc to make them a lot powerful, and they're able to fight the left and right hand man of the Dorian Zarbon of Frieza, and I believe they're able to actually fight like Jay Splitter and all that if they can match the speed and techniques and all that. The next time we really see this is in the Buu Saga with Elder Kai awakening Gohan's power. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention this of the Potara. The Potara earrings, if a Supreme Kai, which is a rank that you have to be certified in, when you fuse with someone with the Potara, you are stuck merged. Anyways, back to the Elder Kai dance. That's how we get Ultimate / Mystic Gohan. And that is kind of it, really. Because really that's just your power from within you that has yet to awaken because of an emotion, or you have yet to unlock that potential. There are certain techniques that can bring that out of you. And I believe Beast Gohan is technically off that technique, where he just didn't get to. He had even more potential, but because of the time cut, he had to leave early before Elder Kai was able to finish his dance and his technique. So he had to leave before he could unlock Beast Gohan. Next is the. I'm trying to figure out. I guess we can go over the godly techniques. The very first godly technique we see is Kaioken. Even though people keep forgetting this, but King Kai is technically a god. He's just the lower part of the gods. So we have Zeno, his guards. Technically before his guards, in the middle of Zeno and the guards, is the Grand Priest. He has his kids, the angels. They are above most people, but they are kind of the mentor / attendant to the God of Destruction, which is the Hakaioshin, which are basically, they'll go out and destroy things to balance out the power scaling of the universe, or if it's going to hinder other populations. They are supposed to be getting their populations and power scaling to where most mortals are reaching a certain power scaling or a certain technical point. And if, say, the Saiyans went and destroyed a bunch of civilizations, Beerus or other God of Destructions have to interfere and destroy that race to have another 10 to 50 get better. Just because this one society is doing good, it's better to have a lot more showing what they can do. And then just like how Kami and Piccolo were linked by life bonding, it's a little different, but basically when a God of Destruction or Supreme Kai is sworn into their position, they get bonded with the God of Destruction and the King Kai, in the Supreme Kai. And the Supreme Kai is also known as a Kaioshin, which is the god of gods, I believe it is. And when it comes to the Supreme Kais, in most universes, like in Dragon Ball Super, you have 1 to 6 and 8 to 12. They just have a Supreme Kai, and then we believe they'll have like the North, South, West, East Kai. Actually, technically, I believe by canon, we only have like a King Kai in each universe, which is basically the underling of the Supreme Kai, and that one is kind of the one to figure out what's happening and communicate it to the Supreme Kai. And then the only other god below him, technically on the scale, we're not talking about the Wind of God from like the Dragon Ball movie with Chi-Chi and Goku going on a marriageable thing, but the lowest of the low would be King Yama, the person who tells where the souls are gonna go in the afterlife. He is the lowest of the low for the gods, but above him, just by a little bit, is the King Kai. In the movie universe and in the Buu Saga, we do get an alternate explanation of the god changes. In the movie universe, King Kai is like the East Kai, I believe, and there's like different parts of the galaxy are washed over by that certain Kai. So there's North, West, East, and South Kai, and they all communicate to the Grand Kai. I believe this was made before Supreme Kai was a thing, so I believe that explains it a little bit. But we never see the other 4 Kais, the other 3 directional Kais and the Grand Kai. We never see them again because he's technically not canon. I believe he's those 4 are like, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but they're like filler. They're filler. Next would be the weird thing that I think we touched on in the Moro arc, but it is confusing because in Dragon Ball Super, it doesn't make any sense. So when Kid Buu is explained by Supreme Kai, he tells the story about him being the North Supreme Kai. So there's directional Supreme Kais, and then there's a Grand Supreme Kai. So there's a King, Grand, King of Gods Kai. And it's weird. You can't have a North, South, and East when you're supposed to be doing this. I believe those 4 were set up to replace the original. I mean, yeah, those 4, the all directions and the Grand, and it's confusing. But you still have to bring the Grand Supreme Kai back to beat Moro. After explaining the whole power scaling, so King Kai technically is a part of the godly techniques, and him producing the Kaioken, which is Kaioshin, that is a godly technique. It is God Kin. I forgot what Kin means in Japanese, but basically it's just to multiply that person's power by a certain amount. Well, not a power. It increases their strength and speed, but it does stress out the user's body. And it goes from 2 times to 20 times. Then we have UI, which is based on the angels, which is basically they have an instinct that lets them dodge and counter most things in a certain space. And then you have UE, which is Ultra Ego, which is new to the I believe Granola arc. Vegeta and most God of Destructions have this, where basically they take I'm going to be the best, and I'm going to be able to beat anything with it. And they, unlike Ultra Instinct, where it gets better and gets fine-tuned, this one just, as it gets beaten, the stronger it gets. Which actually, I'm going to say it complements a Saiyan's techniques, where a Saiyan by the brink of death comes back with the Zenkai. But basically, that's Ultra Instinct. Is it just has that little boost as it goes. Also, it has the special ability of Hakai. Hakai basically just means in Japanese destroy, which is a power basically as long as something is weaker than you. If someone or something is weaker than you, you can eliminate it and erase it from history, which is actually it's the apple that fell away from the tree to deprive its own plants, which the tree is Xeno. Xeno has the power of just destroy, which is basically it can destroy anything in existence because nothing is stronger than Xeno. I guess the next thing we have to understand is the Saiyans, but real quick I want to go get a drink. Thank you to Acme and Giant Eagles for their 4th of July savings. I barely get to have a pop once in a while. Okay, anyways. We're going on the Saiyans. Saiyans have a weird potential. First of all, we explained it, the Zenkai boost, which is basically if a Saiyan, the more you beat down a Saiyan, the more of a, when they heal back up, the boost pops back up. So if you just punch them, they might be able to withstand that punch a little bit, but if you beat that one to death, they jump up 2, 3, maybe 4 times stronger than they were originally. But that's just it's not a form, it's just how they are. But when Zenkai, or just by training the body of the Saiyan, they produce S cells, which is a weird thing. But hybrid Saiyans, so if a Saiyan goes and has fun with another species, the S cells are born at a higher rate than in a normal Saiyan. Saiyans can be high body count, that's why there's a ranking system, low, middle, and high class. And then royalty. But hybrids like Gohan, Goten, and Trunks are born with a lot more S cells and can rapidly learn and get stronger than pure Saiyans. That's why a lot of people hate on the younger Saiyans, because they have so much potential, but they're let go. And they have to have a certain amount of S cells to make the Super Saiyan transformation, which all it is when a Saiyan's heart is pure, evil, or good, it has one understanding. It is not the heart and mind of the Saiyan has to be steady and not wavering to be able to turn it, and through a large emotional trauma to trigger the transformation. Bullcrap to the Universe 6 Saiyans with the back tingling thing, which is basically they figured out how to mimic an emotion, is what everyone explains. It is just the tension of when you get angry converts to your back, where you're stressed and you strain yourself. That's what Universe 6 Saiyans did. But anyways, it triggers the Super Saiyan transformation, which is 50 times the original base power and strength and speed of the base form. Moving on to the Super Saiyan 2, this is basically just if they are purely they can kind of control their emotions. They're in a high emotional state, but they can use it to increase their power. And it's basically burning out their energy at a higher rate than Super Saiyan. Basically, Super Saiyan 2 is burning energy to fuel the body, is what Super Saiyan 2 is. Super Saiyan 3 is basically, it's in the same state as Super Saiyan 2, but it touches into the Great Ape instinct and the energy that it replicates to make Super Saiyan 3 work. Which I don't understand how Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta hasn't became a thing, but Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who had a lot less time with the Great Ape form, is able to get to it. But anyways, basically they have to look inside of themselves, discover the power of the Great Ape, and kind of try to replicate it on top of that emotional state of Super Saiyan 2 to an explosion of energy, how Great Apes work. Touching on Great Apes anyways, Great Apes are basically Saiyans are humanoid creatures that have a tail extension, which humans can have tails too, but not as bad as a Saiyan. And basically the tail can convert the... GT explains it a little bit better. A lot of people don't like GT, but basically when the sunlight bounces off the moon, it creates waves of light that are varied from normal sunlight. So when it's a pure state of a full moon, there's a lot of waves coming off, light waves coming off of that basically makes the Saiyan tail recognize it, kind of like a Kryptonian, absorbs the waves, and kind of triggers a feral state known as the Great Ape, which is basically all that power that's hidden in a Saiyan's body comes out in an expressive manner in this giant form. The Golden Ape from GT is basically what if the Great Ape uses the S cells and burns energy at a faster rate, and that is what Golden Ape is. Here's the two stages. Then I'm just going to go to the gods, because they're a separate entity of... Well, actually, it's probably best because it's fresh off your minds. Super Saiyan 4, I guess we'll go ahead and... because we just talked about Great Ape. Super Saiyan 4 is what if you take all the power you get from a Great Ape or a Golden Ape and you convert it into your base body and you basically condense it. So you take this giant form that's got all this power raging through it, and you condense it into the body of that Saiyan. And I forgot to mention Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3's power scaling. So Super Saiyan is 50 times base. Super Saiyan 2 is 2 times Super Saiyan, so 100 times. The Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times the Super Saiyan 2, which is 800 times base. And then you have a Super Saiyan 4, which has, thanks to Super Saiyan 4's 10 times Kamehameha, that is 10 times a Super Saiyan 3, which in terms is 8,000 times the base form, which is a lot. And then basically they go off more instincts. And because it is basically, if you put everything you are into one, it is the perfect state of being, because you are looking at yourself with every aspect of your body. And that is what Super Saiyan 4 is. And Super Saiyan 4 is like, this is the roots of a Saiyan. This is why everyone loves this form. Not only does it look cool, but it literally goes off of what a Saiyan is supposed to be. Screw this God stuff. This God stuff is basically falsifying this other branch of beings. Super Saiyan 4 is literally what a Saiyan should come up to be. And that is what Bardock and King Vegeta and several fan things, including Super Dragon Ball Heroes, cares to go into instead of the God states. Super Saiyan 4 is just a little bit better in my mind, explaining as a lower expectation than a god. Moving on, we go on to a Super Saiyan God. Hold on one second. BRB. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Super Saiyan God. In the legends of the ancestors of the Saiyans, a good-hearted or better moral Saiyan had came out and tried to go against what was known to their species, which of course that Saiyan had lost because there was too many people against the few that he fought. But they achieved something that was never achieved again until Goku. Basically, I think it is 5 Saiyans emit the light of Super Saiyans, or they emit the light of S cells exploding into this sixth body, and it basically absorbs it, kind of like a Saiyan sail absorbs the blood swaves of the moon. It absorbs the S cells into the body, and it basically is a chain reaction in the body that produces a God Ki known as Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan God. Moving on to Super Saiyan Blue. It is basically take this God Ki that is discovered from all these S cells exploding and converting into a new energy source and adding the S cells that is existing in the body at a Super Saiyan level and adding together. So Super Saiyan God times 50. But the only bad thing that's different from Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan Blue or Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, it has wavering strength. So Super Saiyan, it's always at an emotional high level, and you have to hold that emotional level to keep at a high power for Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan Blue, you have to calm down the Super Saiyan form to kind of use the God Ki at a good you're supposed to intertwine the two. So you have your S cells and you have the God Ki. You're supposed to basically make them work together. And when you're no longer in the Super Saiyan state requires you to be all over the place with your emotions to make it high. So you got to settle down your emotions to keep the God Ki intertwined. So you gotta make the Super Saiyan form hinder itself, which is why Super Saiyan Blue in the manga it has varying levels of strength, which we'll go over max full power and the grades of Super Saiyan here in a second. But after that, we go into Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, which will explain more about it in the max full power and all that I just said. It's basically like putting in the Saiyan pride and what a Saiyan is, and kind of touching on to what Super Saiyan 3 did and exploring the Great Ape strength and imbuing it in the blue power. And that is kind of how Super Saiyan Blue Evolution comes to be. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken is just Super Kaioken is just Super Saiyan with someone using a Kaioken. Super Saiyan Blue is Super Saiyan Blue God Ki and the usage of Kaioken. Super Saiyan 4 full power is just a Super Saiyan 4 with it overloaded with Ki, and then I'm trying to remember what it's called. I forgot what they're calling it. Hold on. It's like Full Potential Super Saiyan 4, which is the Dragon Ball Super Hero thing. I don't know, Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Which is basically Super Saiyan 4 produces the God Ki, the Super Saiyan God technique, and imbues the Super Saiyan 4 with God Ki. The very last thing for this video before we finish up is max power, full power, and the Super Saiyan grades. So to quickly go over max and full power, we see this in Zarbon, Master Roshi. I think we see this in General Blue. And then we see it in a few other people, including Cell. And this also explains what Super Grade 2 and Super Grade 3, so Super Saiyan Grade 2, which is Super Vegeta, and Super Grade 3, which we see in Super Trunks, is basically off of this technique. Normally when you are a Ki user, your Ki is imbued in your body, but when you burn it to keep that Ki, to pull Ki blast and all that off, you are expelling ki out of your body. And a max and full power is to basically condense all of it together and blow up your muscles, expanding your muscles with the ki. And that's what Master Roshi Max Full Power is. That's what Zarbon's a little different, but it does do that with the muscles. That's what Cell Full Power is. And that's basically what Super Grade 2 and Super Grade 3 is. We touch upon the other ones. And then it also explains Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. But the only other thing we don't touch upon, which is a little wavered difference from these, are the Mastered Super Saiyan or the Mastered Super Saiyan Blue, which are just grade 4 of that state, which is what we get when Goku and Gohan get out of the hyperbolic time chamber to fight Cell. Grade 4 is basically a mastery of the technique of condensing ki into that person, the user's body, to not expel the energy and hold your ki together, but it takes so much stress and concentration to do so. And that is what it takes to do it, because instead of it just bulking up in your body, Gohan and Goku made it to where it's a flowing line, and by instinct their bodies are using in being able to expel a more natural function of the ki. Anyways, I think that's it. We're already going on 40 minutes. But that is basically Dragon Ball Transformations. I'll see you guys in the next one on Friday. Well, actually, I'll see you guys Wednesday for a video. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I think it's going to be a mobile game or some kind of classic game. But not Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew is taking a little hiatus. I don't have money right now to buy another Nancy Drew game. So Nancy Drew's on hiatus right now. We'll be talking about Marvel and DC. Like, not them as a company, but them as like these superheroes and how these superheroes are on Friday. So I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.